Hello, everybody. I'm Katrina German, and I help out with some of the digital projects on the Other Side television show. And tonight we have a very exciting episode just for you on Facebook and for all of our fans and followers and the people in the group and on the page. And we have Lynda from the Georgina Paranormal Society and the winner of the Paranormal Pizza Party. She received this honor for tweeting using the hashtag #TheOtherSideTV. So please join us weekly. You never know what kind of bonuses you're going to get as we live tweet each episode. And in the interim, she gets a chance to interview both Saxon, who is appearing on screen right now. He is a director from Bamboo Shoots, and he's the person who directed the episode that we just watched for the season premiere. And we also have Jeff from, well, everybody knows who Jeff is. He is the host of The Other Side TV. So Lynda, you had an entire party tonight. Can you tell us a little bit about your group and how everybody gathered together? And then we'll just let you go ahead and ask some questions to the guys.
Well, it was a really exciting time for our group, and it was so strange because we often like and share a lot, actually, from the other side and on social media. So it was such an honor to win this pizza party, and the entire team was so happy and thrilled. And they all sort of just invaded my home. It was a great experience. The pizza was delicious, and it was fun because we got to eat and watch the episode, and that was phenomenal. We just love you guys. The episode was quite an interesting one in that we were talking about some of the ways that you go about your business. So we really love the EMF conversations that you have, and we talk about that a lot actually as a paranormal team. And one of the questions that I had was, when you're doing an investigation, you tend to sit in a room for hours, or you walk around a place for a very long time. You don't get much going on sometimes, and then all of a sudden you get a peak in activity. So as a director, that must be a really difficult thing because you have to piece together all of the pertinent things that happen and all of the more exciting things that happen. How do you do that? I mean, that must take a lot of footage and a lot of hours of watching it and sort of paying attention to the more active, I guess, the more active times. Because sometimes, like I say, it's not active at all.
Yeah, that's very true. And from a director's point of view, I just let the editor do it, all the work. No, I don't. I'm kidding. As we're going along, the story is sort of unfolding as we go, and you have to sort of pay attention to all the elements that are going on. And I'm talking online. Sorry, my son is here and he's running around and obviously hyped up on sugar right now.
Exactly.
And so you're sort of piecing it together, working with the team as much as possible. The show consists of a lot of different elements. You have a lot of the scenes beforehand and in between the investigations. During the investigations, the team really runs with it. Yeah. As a director, at that point I step back and let them do their stuff and try not to interfere as much as possible. Sometimes, there's things that are sort of going in different directions and they need a little bit of guidance, but for the most part, they steer the ship. And then we take all that media afterward and we take the story. And, you also have to know that there's a lot of stuff that doesn't make it into the show. Because these are, a number of hours, the investigations, we have to really whittle it down to the stuff that we think is most important and tells the most important story. So, that's really where my role comes in.
Wow. Well, that's got to be kind of challenging. And Jeff as well, that's got to be challenging for you too, because you have to be in the moment. And as an intuitive, I'm guessing because you all gel and you work so well together, it's not that difficult to sort of stay in touch and in tune. but are there times where you feel that maybe you need a bit of a break, or how does that work? How do you relate and relay to the people that you're working with that, you know what, maybe we need to cut this off, or maybe we need to start again, or maybe it's not quite working, or do you feel that at all?
Well, a lot of the time, what's really interesting is, I mean, I got to give credit to Saxon and to some of the other directors that we work with. They do a really great job of letting the whole process of the investigation unfold very organically. They give us a time frame, for us to operate, because as a crew, we've got a certain parameters for its time we have to work within. So we've got that, but at the end of the day, they pretty much let us go in whichever direction we need to go, in whatever direction we feel we're going to get the best evidence and the best points of contact with spirit. So a lot of the intuitive work that you see done on the program, first and foremost, it's happening in real time. As I'm doing it, they're filming. You're seeing me go through my process. That's not necessarily recreated or not necessarily different. That's exactly what's happening. So I tune them out. I completely try to tune out the crew and everyone else that's there. But I will tell you this much. A big part of what I do is about sort of taking the intuitive skill set and distracting your conscious mind from enacting and sort of coming into play with that skill set too much. So
Right.
Having cameras in my face and having crew that I have to talk to and people that I sometimes need to kind of be distracted with, it almost sort of helps that intuitive skill set to go even further, because my analytical mind, my conscious mind is out of it. And so all that stuff is running in the background because I'm distracted with the TV program at points, with the idea of sort of working with them. So there are points when, the intuitive work does become too much and I do kind of need to take a step back. That doesn't happen often, but I have had my energy pulled right from me and left me completely drained and feeling like we did need to take a break, or in some instances, I'll be honest, I need to go in without a camera crew to get an even further, even deeper connection sometimes too. And so in those points, if there's something that isn't speaking to us directly for one reason or another, I say, guys, just hang back for a few minutes. Let me go in and sort of see if I can pick some stuff up, and then I'll bring you in for the back half of the intuitive session. So it's really about us playing it by ear and just kind of rolling with whatever the particular site we're investigating and that energy brings to us.
That's really, it was very, and you're right, it was very organic. The entire episode felt incredibly organic. And what I liked was you could really feel that cold wind. I got to tell you, it was incredible, the expressions on everyone's faces when that wind, that breeze kind of hit when you were talking about Jack. That was just incredible. And we all kind of looked at each other and said, we felt that too on some investigations, but I mean, that must have been intense. What kind of energy did you feel when you were walking around? And did you feel that sort of interplay between both of them, between, I don't know, I guess it felt to me that there was some sort of fight going on. And I wondered how you related to that and how it felt.
The tension and the back and forth between Jack and Emma in that episode, it was palpable. You could feel it in the room. And I'll tell you this much, when that door opened, you have to remember, before that door opened, Tom had bolted and locked that door. That door was shut. There was no way, other than some force, either human or otherwise, but no one that was there did it, and nobody that we knew physically had touched. That didn't happen. So there was something that opened that door, even though Tom had previously checked it. So that moment for us was pretty shocking, and that's why the expressions you see, I mean, that's real fear. I wish I could get a screen capture of my face in that moment, because that's real palpable. It was palpable fear. It was there in that moment. We were all very startled by that, but you could feel it. You could feel the back and forth between Jack and Emma.
Well, we wondered about that because when we talked about it as a team, as I say, we've been in a situation and many situations where things happen that you don't really expect. But I mean, we don't have camera crew following us. So, I mean, as a director too, that's got to be a golden experience because, when you do this and you're filming paranormal TV, we often say, well, you can't, you can't make the ghosts do things. We tell people that you can't conjure up an experience. It has to happen in the moment. So, I mean, as a director, that's got to be, the brass ring. This is amazing.
Yeah, you always hope for a moment like that when you're watching, and I've directed a number of episodes, and sometimes those moments don't happen, and you think, okay, how are we going to make an episode of this? They always come together in the end, but yeah, when that moment happened, I was first of all, I was very taken aback and startled, and then I was very happy because I knew that there was a good pinnacle point in the episode that we could base everything off of.
True. And I mean, to have the people that are involved with that particular location there during the investigation must have been interesting for them as well. I mean, you must have gotten some feedback from them to call you back, to go back into that location. That must have been an incredible thing too, because you're never quite finished, are you?
Yeah, and we only get a few days, and there are several points that I can recall from season 4 and in the coming 5th season where I feel like we should spend more than 3 days because there's so much more to uncover and more work to be done than just what we are able to cover in the 3 days time that we're there. But you're absolutely right. To be called back was phenomenal. Now, I spent time in Prince's house by myself before that live stream investigation happened. And I felt at that moment that, I didn't feel Jack in those moments. That's something that seemed to come in with us when we moved in as a unit. When the group is assembled, that's when that figure seems to present itself. Well, that's when Jack or Lucky or Lucy or whatever name it chooses to kind of give itself at any given point in time only seems to come about when we are assembled as a team. So when we went in, and because Emma, her interaction with me that first night, it wasn't necessarily a positive interaction. I got a lot of it. The impression I got was that she didn't want me there. She didn't want us in her house. She wanted me out of there. I was supposed to stay overnight in Prince's house. I think I was there for maybe 4 hours before I got out of there. And I went back to stay at the Holiday Inn. I left the house. I was out because there were things that unfolded that night. And Saxon can attest to this. He got my messages and my emails and my texts. And I said, I'm going back to the hotel. I can't be in here any longer. But Emma was definitely trying to push us out at that point. So when we assembled as a group and all of a sudden Jack comes in and we've got this 2-hour live stream, we can only do so much in 2 hours. We didn't even have 3 days. We only had my previous night and then 2 hours. So you bet we were going to be coming back because now at this point, we had perhaps kicked up a little bit of dust and we needed to put that back together and make that place safe again for Emma.
And let me add to Jeff's point, or to Jeff's topic there. He said that he didn't spend the entire night because it was a little too freaky for him. Just to set the stage, when I dropped him off that night, and I drove right into the park, and it was a foggy night, and it was eerie, it was dark, it was foggy, there was a weight in the air. It felt like the setting for a horror film. And he got out of my car, and I watched him walk into the Prince house, and I thought, that guy's crazy.
He had a sleeping bag and a camera. And, there you go, bud. You're on your own. And I walked in, and I remember because the moment that sent me out of the house wasn't even in the episode. And I hope that the footage makes it into some format online or somewhere, but I had given Emma a music box, and I had put the music box in one of the bedrooms, and I invited her. I said, use this box to communicate. If you want to use the box and play with it, you can go ahead and do that. And what had happened was I had laid back down after trying to communicate, and I woke up to the sound of the music box being played, and I moved to the steps, and I could hear it being played. And all of a sudden, I start trying to analyze and figure out, well, how is this music box playing right now? Is there oil in the gears that are moving it? Is perhaps an animal or something has knocked it over, and I go through all these crazy scenarios, and I ask her, and you'll know this as an investigator, I ask her for a direct response. I say, please give me a direct response. if you are here and you want to communicate, do that again. Thinking the first time may have just been chance.
Right.
And I waited, and all of a sudden I heard the tink tink. Mary Had a Little Lamb started to play. I just about dropped the camera. I got out of there. I called the security desk, and I went back to the hotel. That was it. It was done.
That's crazy.
I've never been more terrified up until that point at any point on the show, because I was by myself, and here I had this Mary Had a Little Lamb in the middle of the day is a perfectly fine song to hear, but when you hear it being played from the dark of one of Canada's most haunted places, it's a whole different tone.
That's really true. I hope they use some of that footage, because I, for one, would pay big bucks to see that kind of footage. Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
I'm
That's
really
crazy. But when you went back into the house, I mean, at the end of the episode, when you were walking around and you had said that the energy was okay, you didn't say the energy was great. You just said that it was okay. And we all looked at each other and said, yeah, we know kind of how that feels. And when I had said before that it's never really totally done, it never really is totally done. And I think in this case too, I would guess that there's still a little bit of tension, because you can remove some of that tension, but I don't know. If it's ingrained in that location, then I don't know. Is it ever totally gone? How did you feel?
Tom Charles does a phenomenal job in helping the spirit to move on.
Yes.
And his ceremonies of protection, his ceremonies of sort of refocusing and rechanneling that energy are beautiful. I'm very fortunate to have him with us. But there are times when it feels like the space has been changed in some way by what's taken place. And with Prince House, part of my sort of end talk there about it being okay, after having Jack come in, after having us come in, the energy felt good, but it also felt like perhaps a little bit of dirt had been tracked through the house at this point, spiritual dirt, so to speak. And Emma, as the matron of the home, wasn't happy. There was still just a little bit. I felt a little bit of a waver back and forth between, is she okay with what's taken place here? And now we're trying to clean up, but she's kind of left like perhaps something has been altered here. So, I think the Prince House is a phenomenal location, and I have no doubt in my mind that she is happy and she is at peace, and she is, that things have been righted there, but there was just something that was a little off.
Well, that's a really good point where we're actually going to kind of bring this together. This was a really excellent episode. Is there something that each of you would like to say, sort of from each of your individual perspectives, to sort of wrap this all up and give the people who are going to be watching this a sense of, here's something behind the scenes that you didn't see in the episode. And in your case, Lynda, here's something that you may have as an experience that you've had from your personal perspective as an investigator that you could be shining some light on this type of a situation. Saxon, do you want to start?
Yeah, I will start. One of the things that maybe didn't come across super clear in the episode, and it pertains to Tom doing the smudge at the end. And we did the smudge outside for a number of reasons. One is we didn't want to have smoke inside the Heritage House, the Prince House there. And also because we believe that the spirits were maybe not even just contained to the house, and could have been anywhere throughout the area, maybe even migrating from house to house. There was a lot of different theories that we had. We believe that they were listening in on our conversations, and then spitting parts of those conversations back. So that to me was pretty much the most fascinating thing about the story. All the bits that Jeff and I were talking outside during lunch, or Jeff and Tom, or that the spirit was saying back during the investigation. And there's, as you do these, you maybe aren't as sensitive to the phenomenons that happen, but that one definitely made the hair on my arms stand up on it, and the back of my neck. I was kind of freaked out by that, to be honest.
Nice. Lynda, did you want to go next?
Sure. really, I think what I really wanted to draw attention to was, first of all, the way that you all work together as a team is really inspiring. And I think as a paranormal investigator myself, and I've been one for 37 years, how impossible is that? I think what really strikes me, and what I think most teams need to know, is that if there's a true sort of meeting of the minds, and just a gel, a relationship between all of you, it just makes things much easier. It makes things flow much more organically. And I also think that you're also well tuned to the subtleties of an investigation. And we saw all of that in this particular episode. I mean, there was a beginning, there was a middle, there was an end, there was I don't know, it just flowed incredibly well. Loved the ceremony at the end. We always learn something new whenever we watch an episode of The Other Side. And I think the educational quality, as well as just the team atmosphere and the way you all work so well together. And the locations, we learned so much about the locations as well. There's so much more out there that we don't know. And you are truly bringing us on a journey. And I think that's so delightful. We love that. And we love you guys. Just honestly, as investigators, we love that you don't use too much equipment. You don't use not enough equipment. It just seems to be the right touch at the right time. So well done. It was just phenomenal.
Wow, nice, Lynda. That's great. Jeff, how would you like to wrap this up?
Yeah, Lynda, thank you so much. From somebody who does have that degree of experience in the field, your comments certainly mean the world. So thank you for what you've said. That's certainly high praise. I want everybody also to remember that you see myself and Tom and Michaela on the screen, but we have a team that is working with us, and the beautiful shots that you're seeing, these guys are capturing those shots, and then they're getting us in those locations. So we have not just ourselves in that space, but we've got 2 camera guys and a sound guy that are also in that space with us, and we're working with them constantly as well. And sometimes we've got the director there. You talk about being gel as a team. It goes beyond that. It's not just the 3 of us that are gel, but the entire Other Side group. From Saxon to Daryl and Ryan and Katrina and everybody that works with us. John, all those men and women are. We are a family, we are a team. But I think my biggest takeaway from the Prince House was that when you travel as an investigator, when we go forward as teams, sometimes we bring things from other locations with us into those new spaces. And we always have to be cognizant of that. We always have to be aware of that we may be, in theory, tracking dirt through other spaces. So you have to keep that in mind. That voice that you might hear on your spirit box, or that entity that seems to be communicating via the K2 meter, may be a friend from a previous episode. And I think this particular episode really cemented that for us. That presence is there, and it affected our investigation.
I love that.
Yes. Thanks so much, Lynda, for participating. Saxon, thank you for a wonderful job directing and for participating. Jeff, as usual, you nailed it, both on the television show and here. And we are going to be inviting everybody to participate in the Other Side private group. You can join through the Other Side Facebook page, and please do tweet. Let's come and have a conversation as these episodes are airing on APTN, and use the hashtag The Other Side TV. Thank you. Have a good night, everybody.